My name is Stephen Ryan. I'm a research student from Rosebruford College, doing my level 6 dissertation for a theatre studies degree. For the past year, I have been researching the performance potential of the overhead projector. I sought to inquire what qualities did this run-of-the-mill office equipment presentation aid have that would allow it to be used in a theatrical or performative way. The opening sequence you have just seen was performed live entirely on overhead projectors. There was no computers involved, no digitals, nothing. Only people and overhead projectors. In the world of technology today, the overhead projector has fallen far behind. When we live in a world where I can operate a theatre lighting desk from a remote tablet, these can communicate with each other with no wires, no nothing. Appears almost as though it is magic. Software runs it all. It's the same for the presentation nowadays. PowerPoint, Keynote, Prezi, they are all what we see every time we go and see a presentation. We never see overhead projectors anymore. So, what next? What potential is there for the overhead projector? Is the future bright? When it comes to technology, or the remit that it was originally designed for, to be an aid to presentation, I think I have to accept that there is no future for the overhead projector. It cannot produce the imagery that is required. It cannot play video. It cannot connect to the internet. These things are all very commonly required by a modern day presenter. So what of the overhead projector? Must it be consigned to some dusty shelf in the back of a storeroom? No. What I have discovered over the last year researching is that the overhead projector's design lends it some qualities that allow human interaction. They allow the device to be a vehicle for creative and artistic expression. As early as 1952, 1 year after the overhead projector was released, there were reports of a Harvard University professor experimenting with liquids on the surface of an overhead projector to see if he could create an entertaining light show. A small amount of liquid placed in a shallow disc, normally a mixture of oils and inks, are manipulated by the magic ingredient of the human being, of the interaction with the overhead projector, with the mediums on the overhead projector. These were very common in the 1960s. This is Frank Zappa on the stage at the Fillmore, and the Joshua Light Show provided the backdrop to this image. The one thing about this type of light show, when you use oil and water on the surface of an overhead projector, is that the imagery you can create holds a lot of the qualities that are evident in modern digital animated software. Random image generators are available and included in things like Microsoft's Windows Media Player. And the images behind me here have as much brightness, colour, boldness, animation as anything you would have on one of these software devices. The thing that the software doesn't have is the human interaction. Watching this on a video screen and knowing it came from a piece of software is rather a mundane experience. But knowing that it was a human being that created it in the room beside you makes those images performances. The fact that people like the Joshua Light Show have been readily accepted as being performance is evident in the posters from the 1960s, sharing the bill with such famous names as Jimi Hendrix. Interestingly, the Joshua Light Show has re-emerged in the last decade, and last year played with the percussionist Evelyn Glennie. Matching the overhead liquid electro images to music has always been a popular combination. But the overhead projector is not strictly held to these random moving images. There are other essential performance devices, performance happenings, events, all based around the overhead projector, but most importantly, allowed, enabled, because of the aspects of the overhead projector that allow a human being to creatively interact with the medium that's on the stage surface. In Germany, there is an avant-garde performance artist who performs with music and imagery called Ray Vibration. Ray Vibration runs workshops where he teaches musicians how to interact with visible images as they move and change. What you end up with is a group of musicians performing music and a group of operators with overhead projectors performing imagery. Both sets of people are performing. There is no difference. They are both equally contributing to the overall event. The person on the overhead projector is not just an operator, not just a technician. The design of the overhead projector allows you to be so much more. And this, what is happening is, under Milkwood is being performed. There are live vocals and an operator who is working as a performer. You can see that this operator is clearly visible in front of the screen. And his movement, his input to the actual imagery is very evident. None of this is hidden from the audience. The operator is very much a performer of live art, very much as important as the person who's reading the words. Another recent thing is sand animation. And this sand is put on the overhead projector surface and it's manipulated by hand. The changing, almost sepia animated imagery is all produced live. This allows the observer the opportunity to delight in the imagery, but also to marvel at the skill of the performer who is creating these images simply for their pleasure at that time. From the 1960s, people like Bill Ham have returned. Once famous for being part of Light Sound Dimension, or LSD, very much the psychedelic hippie performance machine. But now, due to popular demand, his career is resurging. Festivals are being held in Europe where people are exploring creatively, interactively, all the artistic aspects of an overhead projector. The future of an overhead projector, performatively at least, is very bright indeed.